Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Retina South Africa's follow on to Youth Month. We have a lot of exciting information for you today, and we will be focusing on the major challenges for youth entering the workplace. And we all know that these challenges are massively compounded when someone is visually impaired. But we have great news for you. Shaakirah from the Cape Town Society for the Blind is going to supply you with tools that will assist you when taking that huge step into that workplace. Thank you, Shaakirah. Over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shaakirah. I am an occupational therapist working at Cape Town Society for the Blind. I am responsible for the career placement services, and I work in the low vision clinic with our optometrists as well. So daily, I interact with these young beneficiaries who are taking the step into the open labor market, and they want to know what they can do, how they can improve their interview skills, their CV writing skills, and basically how to look for work. So I came up with a few important tips for that step, and I'm going to call it job readiness. Basically, the first thing that you need to know is you need to know yourself. Know what you want and what you aspire to be. You also need to be an advocate for your disability. So whatever disability it is, especially if you have a visual impairment, it's really important that you know what works for you in the workplace. You know your rights and your responsibilities. So you can do that by looking at White Paper 6 on persons with disabilities, the Employment Equity Act, as well as the BBBEE, which is the Broad-Based Black Economic Empowerment. And that looks at reasonable accommodation. Okay, so before you go into a workplace, you need to know what works for you. So for example, if it's software, if it's large print, if it's, an office where you need light or you don't need light, you need to know that so that you can bring it across to the employer. The first things first is the CV. Okay, so the CV is basically a first impression of you to the employer. So your CV is a written detailed document outlining your experience and your qualifications. So the most important thing is that it doesn't have to be really long. It's not a book. It's a CV. It needs to be 2 pages or 3, but not more than 3, definitely not. So what we're looking at is your personal details. So you can add your name, your ID number, nationality, your address, your phone numbers, your email address, as well as the languages you speak. But with POPIA coming in, which is the Protection of Personal Information Act, you don't have to add your ID in, but it's important to know if this is required from the organization or the company that you can add it. In your CV, you can add your disability status. This is a debatable point and you don't have to add it in. This is a personal decision, but it's also important to make sure that the organization knows that you have a disability so that they can prepare. So for example, if you're invited for an interview, that they know that they need to set out the place in a certain way, or they need to have things in large print, or they need to have a computer available if they're going to be doing assessments. That is one of the reasons why it's important to disclose in your CV. But like I said, it's a personal choice. You will add your educational qualifications, so you will start from the last year of high school and onwards. Your work experience is very important. You include all relevant work and the period that you worked. You can add in the duties that you have as well, or that you had. You don't have to add in jobs that are not relevant to the one that you are applying for. So if you were a barista in the past, or if you worked in a coffee shop, but now you're applying for a corporate job, maybe an administrator or a clerk, you don't have to add that in that qualification because it's not relevant. You can add in some hobbies and interests. It's a nice add to your CV because it adds a personal touch to your CV so that the employer knows that there's actually a person behind this document, and it shows your personality and adds another dimension to you. You can add your community work, so any social involvement, any leadership positions that you have in other NGOs, or if you're on various boards, that's really important. It shows that you are involved in the community. Computer literacy is something that you should definitely add into your CV, as every job in this day and age, there is a computer involved. You can note what software you are familiar with, whether it be, for example, Sage, if you're in that area of work. You should add your references as well. So 2 or 3 contactable references, and you should let your references know that you are adding them onto the CV, because we get situations where the individual doesn't remember you. If it's a facilitator or a teacher from years ago, they won't necessarily remember you. So it's important to add those references that know who you are and know your qualities, so that they can give you a good reference when the employees contact them. So the do's and don'ts of CVs. The do's: definitely type out your CV. Use a clear, legible font. Use headings and layout using tables or tabs if you have the information. Write in short bullet point form. Use up-to-date contacts, like I mentioned before, and keep it to a maximum of 3 pages. Very important, spell check. Spell check can ruin your whole CV. It could be a brilliant CV, and if there's one little mistake, it can put the employer off immediately. A don't for CVs is do not lie. Don't write full sentences or paragraphs. Add a language that you do not speak fluently. Use a close family member as a reference. Using shorthand, for example, texting spelling, or make spelling mistakes in your CV. That's big no's. What I found that is a big challenge is missed opportunities. For example, there's an opportunity that arises and the individual doesn't have the documents up to date, and then the due date for the application closes. So make sure that you have all of your documents up to date. Always keep your CV up to date. Keep copies of your documents ready and organized. And you have to replace lost or damaged certificates as soon as possible, because that can really hinder you from applying for jobs because you don't have everything ready at that moment. So once you've handed in your CV and you get a call and you get an interview, that's very exciting. You are 1 foot in the organization or the company. Just remember that. So presentation is everything. So when you go for an interview, make sure that you are wearing work attire, black pants, white shirt, nothing too revealing. And also, if you look good, you feel good, and you would feel confident in the interview. Make sure that you carry yourself in a way that is confident and you speak clearly and comfortably. Don't mumble. So the do's of an interview: prepare, definitely prepare. Research the company beforehand and even the interviewers. It's really good if you know who's interviewing you, so that when you speak to them, you can relate. Get ready. So bring a nice portfolio with copies of your resume and of your CV, of your ID documents, because they might ask for that on the day. Always be on time. And when I mean on time, I mean 10 minutes before or 15 minutes before. In this way, you can mentally prepare yourself for the interview, and it will help you stay calm, because on the way, you might have had a very bad experience. For example, a taxi coming in or traffic, and this can actually make you feel distressed. So when you come a bit early, you know that you will be calm and collected in the interview. When you are in the interview, show them what you know. Try to relate what you know about the company when answering the questions. So if I'm saying something, I would relate it to what I think will happen in the company. You also need to be honest. Be honest about your abilities. Don't say that you are able to do something when you aren't. Don't say that you have contacts when you don't. Don't say that you enjoy networking when you don't. But always be open to improvement, and you'll show your willingness to learn. Like I said, be on time, 10 to 15 minutes on time. Smile and use a firm handshake. Be alert and act interested throughout. If you are going to an organization or a company where they are not familiar with your disability, it can sometimes be quite tense, and they are not sure how they can interact with you because they haven't interacted with someone with a vision impairment before. It's okay to mention it. It's okay to speak about your disability so that others can also feel comfortable, and it will also make you feel more at ease. So that honestly depends on you and the organization and how you are feeling on that day. Speak clearly and firmly and with authority. Accept any refreshments offered and promote your strengths. Also, definitely understand the company and your role in the company. If you don't know, you are allowed to ask. That also shows that you want to know more about the position. Don'ts. don'ts of an interview. Don't be aggressive. Don't spend time talking about money unless they bring it up. Don't act defensively when being questioned about something. Don't speak badly about past colleagues. Don't excuse your bad points about work history. And don't answer with only yes or no. Elaborate your answers. So when it comes to interview questions, how you can prepare is by doing a quick search on common interview questions. No interview question is random. They will ask you a question because they want a certain response. So, for example, a very common interview question is describe your working experience. They have your CV, but they would like you to describe your working experience. Another common question is what are your strengths and weaknesses? You are allowed to give your strengths and weaknesses, but you would always need to have a positive to your weakness. So, for example, if your weakness is I sometimes am not organized, then you can add but. I put in place a system, for example, make lists on my computer. I have a list on my phone. I make a to-do list every day so that you can solve this problem. So weakness is not a weakness if you are improving it. Another interview question is, how do you deal with conflict or criticism? This question is a very, very famous question as it will look at you as an individual in the organization and how you communicate with your managers, with your colleagues. Like I said before, no question is random and they are looking for a specific answer. What I would suggest is that you are open and honest with the organization that you are being interviewed by. Everyone needs to feel comfortable, including you and the interviewer. If you're not disclosing certain things, it might come about as negative and it might affect the outcome of the interview. That's why I mentioned in the beginning with your CV, it's up to you if you want to disclose your disability. If you don't do it in your CV, it's important that you do it in the interview so that they know that this is the assistance that this individual needs when they're working here.
Thank you so much, Shaakirah. I know that people who've listened to the short talk will have those essential tools to ease that often daunting step into the workplace. In fact, I actually wish you'd been around those many years ago when I first entered the world of work. That was excellent. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much.
And now, just a quick word about Retina South Africa. At Retina South Africa, everything that we do depends on your assistance, your help. And as you go into the workplace, maybe start thinking of getting yourself a My School card. It is completely free of charge and you can swipe it at all different stores. For every time you swipe, it costs you nothing, but the store gives us a very small amount that adds up as more and more people swipe their cards. And you can nominate up to 3 beneficiaries on each card. And you can contact us on our helpline at 0860 595959 or on our webpage, which is www.retinasa.org.za, or you can email us at headoffice@retinasa.org.za. Thank you so much. And another thank you to Shaakirah. And of course, you might want to get hold of Shaakirah to have a bit of a one-on-one chat. She is Shaakirah. She's an occupational therapist at the Cape Town Society for the Blind. And her telephone number is 021 448 4302. Or she is Shaakirah, which is SHAAKIRAH at ctsb.org.za. Thank you so much again, Shaakirah.